Committee to give his report.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Before I start my report tonight, I have a brief statement here to give to the public. I wish to inform the public that the town of Stratford is encouraging the public to feed the bees this year. In order to do this, the town has asked homeowners not to mow their lawns for the month of May. However, as a chairperson of Safety Services, I would like to point out that if you do not cut your lawn, you should wear long pants, long shirts, and as well as boots when you're walking along grass. This is because of deer ticks and PEI, and it's a known fact that the deer ticks may carry Lyme disease. In short, help the bees in the best way possible, but also look after your family's health as well. Okay, that's a brief statement I want to make. Safety Services, there was no meeting last month. There is one scheduled for the month of May. 9B, street lights. There's still a number of requests coming in. They will be presented to Safety Services. And basically, they're surrounding the new subdivisions, Jeremy? Yeah. 9, yes.
Just Jeremy might know, on the questions of lights there, I know they're putting up new light poles on Mount Herbert Road. They're almost done down there. I was up there last night, and are they going to be finishing off all those poles with LED lights?
Any lighting that they put in now is the newer style LED lights for sure. So if there's any lighting being installed in there, they would be the newer style. Yes.
I just saw some lights, old lights with new poles, old lights with new poles. Sorry. And,
Okay.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, but do you know how far they're going down?
I'm going to have to check with
Yeah.
Charlie on that. I'm not quite familiar with what's going on there
Yeah.
in Mount Herbert Road. It wasn't a request that we put in, but they're probably replacing the poles. But
Yep.
they have a full replacement plan for the town, and they've been picking away at it, Maritime Electric, with the new LED lighting
Yeah.
systems. So, but I can inquire in that and get back to you for sure.
Sure. Yeah. The residents are quite happy with the road work and the lights there, Jeremy, and they're just couples out walking or singles is for traffic wise. You know, it's a dark area, right?
No, I'll check in on that and
Yeah.
get back to you for sure.
Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Smith.
No, that's part of the process. This is what we do. Okay, we'll move on to 9C. We'll focus tonight on the Stratford's Mayor's Report, which is 4 pages in length. For the month, there was 9 motor vehicle accidents, 6 with reportable damages. The location is on your sheet. I did talk to Corporal Lutley today, and he doesn't believe that there are any trouble spots. The Stratford Esso seems to be one area that we should keep an eye on. But there's motor vehicle accidents. There were 54 tickets for the month, and of various sorts and sizes. On page 2, Mental Health Act, 6 calls this month. And we discussed that issue, and it seems to be that the COVID isolation is bringing things to a head for some people, and they need some help through Mental Health Act, and the RCMP are helping out with that. Over on page 3, a theft under 12 reports of theft under 5,000 in the month of April. We expect that with the price of gas and the price of food these days that might increase, hopefully not, but it's something that they have to keep an eye on. On page 4, NEC checks for the month were 72. False alarms were 13, and that is going to be watched by both the fire department and the RCMP to see if that is getting a little out of hand. Well-being checks. I'm going to let the Corporal talk to that one, the RCMP for well-being checks. Just what is a well-being check?
So well-being checks, I mean, basically, you already touched on mental health being kind of at the forefront right now, especially with COVID and stuff. So a lot of times we have concerned family members that may not be in PEI that are concerned about a family member, haven't heard from them in a while, know that they're struggling with maybe addiction or other things, and they ask us to go out and check on them to ensure that they don't need any type of help. So whether that's medical help or anything along those lines. So it's something that's very common, and it's becoming more and more common for us to get these type of calls to try to assist and see what we can do to help these people, so.
So the timeline could be a couple of minutes or an hour with these people if they want to talk to you, or?
Yeah, sometimes we go out and they're fine, they don't need any assistance, and other times we may have to look at taking them to the hospital for various reasons. So it could be several minutes to sometimes several hours, depending.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right then. And the statistics sheets there, that's pretty well covered off anyway with our mayor's report. I want to point out, new detachment clerk is now working at the office here in Stratford.
Yes, Edward Smith, yep.
Edward Smith, good last name.
Yeah.
And the new CO has a good first name.
Yep, Derek,
Yeah.
that's right.
But, and I'll not try to pronounce his last name. But he's in the process of moving here.
Yes.
And so he has to,
Yeah, he's coming from Newfoundland. He was the acting commissioner, assistant commissioner there in Newfoundland. He received his transfer notice within the last probably week or two. Usually about 90 days, sell his house and find a place here in PEI, and so we expect he would be here sometime late summer, early fall.
now, just for the record, I want to point out that Stratford is a lovely community to live in.
Agree.
Okay, and that pretty well is for the RCMP. Now we're open the floor to questions.
I just have a question on the video surveillance, the home, where we're at now. I know we're almost 8 months out. I'm just waiting for an answer.
Actually, and there's a point I forgot to mention. Yes, that is being worked on.
Yeah.
That's the
But-
capture program you're
Yes.
talking about? Yeah. So Constable Sanders is the lead on that, and he's
Okay.
continuing to work with Ottawa and trying to find the right system to be able to capture and log all the information that's going to be coming towards us. So it's a work in progress. It's a priority for us in the Stratford office to try to get this up off the ground and running. I think I mentioned a couple months back that we hope within a couple months, but we're still kind of in the same spot, still working on trying to find this right system to be able to appease Ottawa and everyone else to try to get this going. So we hope by the summertime that we're going to be able to start getting list of people to start giving us information on their cameras and start going with it, but
Yeah.
could be a
Well,
bit.
you're going to listen to a little rant here, but anyway, we work together, I work together and with the RCMP and yourself and the RCMP, I'd like to, but 8 years ago, I was on the Public Safety Committee, and we talked about E-Watch. And we had our Deputy Chief, Brad McConnell, come out here, do a presentation on E-Watch. And that's 8 years ago. And now, since E-Watch is over, Corporal Mike, and you know that you guys tapped into that system too for information. It's a great system.
We use it often.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
positive on both sides. And I work for the RCP and I work for Municipal Police and everything else. And then your superintendent's on the Compass the other night talking about collaboration, which I love that. I love that. Same uniform, just different stripe. You know what I mean? I love that. But our neighbor, our Summerside neighbors and Kensington neighbors have all these E-Watch system. And we're over on this side. And Charlottetown has 85 cameras, and they're paying zero for them because they get a corporate community involvement. The corporate business pay for it. So it's a tool for you guys, for the police, it's always a tool. And it's going to be in their community. You can put it in parks, public safety, walks, and sort of the highway. Charlottetown has the license plate recognizers, which we don't go that far. But the video is there, and I've been asking now 8 months for this video, and you're waiting for a apply from Ottawa, and I understand totally. I understand, Corporal.
It's the RCMP
Yeah.
and the federal side of things,
But
and
moving
I get it.
forward, I don't know, Derek Smith, I know the new chief of Charlottetown, but Brad McConnell's,
Yeah.
and you were at a presentation of this E-Watch equipment. I mean, this equipment can be set up, a screen attached to the RCMP, and you don't have to monitor it, but when something happens, the stuff is there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a, same as when we had the bus stops. Every bus stop in the town was smashed. We had those cameras up, we would have solved it. But I'm saying we're getting, these cameras, the cameras we're getting are house cameras, are $1,000 cameras. This camera's a $5,000 camera, it's state of the art. You know, I know cameras. I worked 20 years for loss prevention for Ray Murphy, looked after 13 stores and four senior homes. And I know how cameras work, and I know how important they are to the officer itself, like, you know. And this is what I say. But 8 years ago, I talked about it, and it's delay. And I just hope it's not because it's a municipal program. I know New Glasgow has it now, New Glasgow, Nova Scotia, Summerside has it, Kensington have it, and then I'm all about working together. I'm all about working together and sort of, and when you're superintendent and is on TV all night talking about collaboration, it's 100%. If you work together, it's better. You know, I worked JFO, Tactical Troop, 22 years, right? And I say, if we should sit down with me, Mike, and Corporal, and Derek, and open the doors and see if we want to do that. I mean, and
Great idea.
Bring it into our community
Yep.
and have these up, because it's all Wi-Fi, right? It's all Wi-Fi, it's no wires,
Yeah.
so it taps in.
Yep.
There's 2 on the bridge and supported by the government, the PEI.
Yep.
So I'd like to see the other 2 on this side of the bridge supported by the government, PEI too. But
For sure.
anyways, that's, you know,
No, I agree with you,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I can tell you that the capture program is just going to assist us in streamlining the process of identifying people that have cameras and
Yeah.
getting them a little bit easier, getting the footage a little bit easier. But I can tell you that if we still have a crime in Stratford, we're still gonna do neighborhood canvas, we're gonna identify people that have cameras outside, and we're
Yeah.
still gonna approach them and
Yeah.
see if they would be willing to provide us with
Yeah.
any footage that we could use as evidence, of course. But the capture program is obviously gonna make that a little bit simpler. But I agree,
Yeah.
the more cameras, the better. I
Yeah.
mean, it's obviously a major asset, and we often touch base with Charlottetown to see if their LPR system,
Yeah.
or obviously the bridge here, Hillsborough Bridge, people coming in and out of Stratford,
Yeah.
it's something that we use quite often, so.
so we
Yeah.
should maybe set up a meeting and start the process, just look at it and start that. I know you're our new corporal to our community, and you have an appetite for it now, and I think it's a win-win, and it's going to be controlled. The screen will be in your hopefully it'll be in your station, right, or at the detachment, and it's going to be monitored by people that are CPIC checked and everything else, and if you want to get into it, you can get into it. You can push fast, record and fast forward, so on.
For sure.
I just I know how much they help the communities. I know as investigation purposes, I know how much they do a good job, but anyways, just wanted to, sorry for the little rant here, but.
No, it's.
No, I think it's,
But I just wanted, I mean, we're back 8 years, Steve was there, I think Steve saw the presentation, and Will from McDonald, the whole Safety and Service Committee. It was a great presentation, that blew you out of the water like bread.
yeah.
And I just don't want it to be a municipal RCMP thing. I just want to work together, collaboration, and it's at the end of the
Okay,
day.
how about we set up a meeting? We'll ask maybe the Chair of Safety Services, Councillor Smith, to look into it and put it on the agenda, and if you would,
Well, the first thing we're going to do is with the Safety Services meeting this month, that item will be added to our agenda.
okay.
So we'll get
Okay.
the public feedback, and we'll start the process.
And
Yes.
and maybe we could get Corporal Lutley, if he's available,
Yeah.
to sit in, and
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
we could invite Councillor Glant. You're an ex officio, or a member of all the committees anyway, so
Yeah.
you're certainly there,
Yeah.
even though you're not a voting member. You can still go and contribute information if you're asked, and that's so. Would that be okay?
Well, let's set a timeline, because we're into the summer months now, and we're going to be away for a good part of this month, next month. So yes, there's going to be a timeline involved, but let's start the process.
Yeah. Well, are we going to have a meeting with the superintendent?
That's probably going to be in September, because he's got to
Okay.
take
He's not here yet.
90
He's not-
days
not-
to, yeah.
He's not here yet?
No, not until probably
Well-
end of summer, early fall, I believe, yeah,
We'll
Yeah.
talk to the foot soldiers.
yeah.
Yeah, anyways,
No, I
No.
appreciate you raising that, and we will follow it up and make sure that there is some, because you're right, there is, I know we have cameras, we got, I think at the skate park, we've got a camera,
Yeah.
we got cameras in different locations through the town.
but these cameras are times two of that, right?
Yeah, and,
There's, the mechanism is unreal, and the
Yeah.
close-ups and everything else, and it's just a tool.
no, I know,
Yeah.
and we have them down at Fullerton's there. I know I had a personal experience myself with a
Yeah,
somebody bumped into me, and I got the
Yeah.
footage and, was
Yeah.
able to look at it, but didn't do me any good, but I still,
I've talked to 3
Yeah.
corporate businessmen in this community, and they're all on board. That's like $5,000 a camera.
yeah.
So I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll refer it to the Safety Services, and we'll ask that it be followed up with Corporal Lutley, and we'll go from
Sounds-
there.
Yeah.
Sounds good,
Okay, thanks for raising it.
Thanks, Corporal.
thank you.
Mike.
One last thing I forgot to mention, I believe after last month's council meeting, we talked about the intersection And the bicycles on the sidewalk, I understand some of your officers have been up to the school and talking to the teachers and the students about sidewalk safety and bicycles.
Yeah, Alex Cabana, Constable Cabana has been into the schools and talking with both student and staff, just trying to bring them up to speed on the fact that they are allowed to legally drive on the sidewalk, although I think some of the kids were doing it anyway, and just encouraging them to operate their bicycles on the sidewalk, especially the younger ages, of course. There's grade 1, grade 2 kids that seem to be driving their bike to school back and forth every day, so I'm encouraging them to stay on the sidewalks and to get off their bike when crossing intersections and lots of safety tips like that, so.
And that intersection we're talking about, that now flag friendly there, I believe? You
Yes,
have the flags
there
up
is,
there
yeah,
now? Okay.
yep,
All right then.
yep.
So, any more questions for the RCMP?
No, I just want to ascertain, the numbers are great, Corporal Utley, and we complained months ago about it, and you listened to our complaints, and you addressed them, and it was great. It's great to see the numbers good, and the visibility out there, it's ×2 right now. It's great, because I'm not just blowing your horn here, but it's just great to see the car stopped and out there on prevention. Good job.
Yeah, thanks.
No more questions? We'll move on.
Okay.
Thank you, Corporal.
Yeah, thank you, Corporal. Thanks a lot.
Humane Society, the information is there for your reading pleasure. Just, they do their job and that's it. Not too much there. Transit. I can scratch my head in this one. $2 a liter for gas and we got 58 riders a day. I can't see how this is working out for us.
All the people walking, Derek, and biking.
They're biking now?
Yes. the bridge
Yeah, I
every
guess
day.
across the Hillsborough Bridge, you see a lot of
Every
bicycles
day
now.
they're biking and walking and running and,
Okay. Because I thought that number would be higher this month, but, you know. But we did have a meeting, the provincial FCM, and the Premier did announce that they're trying to get the transit system working out in the Osai communities, hooking into our transit system here in town. So hopefully it'll improve. Any more questions on the transit system? All right, we'll move on to a fire next. The fire company report, which is your usual statistic amount that we get every month, or used to get every month, is there for your reading pleasure. And the only reason basically that is there, because it gives you a year's total. So the new fire report does not give the yearly total, but this one does. So that's there for everybody to read. We'll move on to the chief's report, which is in your package. Want to notify the council that the Vernon River fire the other day was attended by the Stratford Fire Department, and the Charlottetown Fire Company covered off for Stratford at that time, and I want to thank them for that service. The new fire truck was put into service at the Vernon River Fire, and it was a maiden voyage for that, and everything worked out well. The AGM for the fire company will be held in June of this year, and that is basically the little points I have. If we go to the fire dashboard calls, you'll see that we have lost one member. It's down to 47. Numbers of operational members is down to 33. The total amount of calls is up to 20. Number of responders up to 20. Daytime calls are 11, and nighttime calls are 9. And the arrows indicate whether they're up and down. On the left side of the page, you'll see the different types of fires and alarms that we have gone to. Alarm fires is 6, MVCs of 6, and of course on the right-hand side is the location of the incidents and the type of response that we went with, whether it's a fire alarm, motor vehicle accident, mutual assist. The master plan is on the next page, and that is basically, Bill Hogan did up a 45-point review for the fire department, and that is there for your information purposes. You will notice that if it's a green, it's basically 90% complete, and the only thing left there to do is to do up the paperwork, necessary paperwork. There are other ones that are still being worked on. The fire board itself has nominated 4 members to look in the responsibility that the fire board has in this review. And that is basically it. Number 4 and 6 basically describes the exact same thing, but I want to point out that one is for the deputy chief and the other one is for the fire chief. So there's just a typographical error there. The PS track system is a new system that is being put in place. This is a new way of tracking people, where the fires are and stuff like that. It is a new initiative, and I want to point out to the council that on the bottom of the page, it says, next step, the information proof of concept with funding from the firefighters fund. In other words, the firefighters are paying for this service for the first year. It's $4,000. It's not the fire board, it's not the just funding this, but it's the firefighters themselves who have gathered a little bit of money over this year, and they are funding this project. And I want to congratulate and thank them for that. Great job. Our chief met with the Queens County representative fire departments, and they did enter into discussions about mutual things that were of concern, and that is for your reports there. The one odd thing about that is that Queens County goes from Stratford up to Kensington, and yet we're closer to Kings County, but Kings County's not part of this group because it's just the geographical location. But that's being looked into. But I like the fact that they are now meeting, talking about mutual concerns that they have, and funding and all that kind of stuff. And that is basically it for the fire department. Questions?
No questions? I believe you have a resolution?
Yes, I do.
Great.
Before I start the resolution, I want to thank the town staff for the speed bump policy. A lot of work went into it, and I thank them for their effort. Town of Stratford Resolution, number SS002, 2022, speed hump policy. Whereas the town of Stratford is committed to the safety and well-being of its residents, and whereas we strive to ensure that the appropriate safeguards are in place to protect our residents, and whereas a speed bump policy has been created to provide a constant and fair approach to installing speed bumps. Be it resolved that the attached speed bump policy, policy 2022-SS-01, be hereby adopted. That resolution bears a recommendation of the Safety Services Committee as discussed at a meeting held on the 21st of March, 2022. And my Committee of Safety Services, and I will be moving this
Okay,
resolution.
thank you. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion.
I have a comment. I'm just curious there, section 4, it says requesting a speed hump in the policy. It says if the request is approved, it could be several weeks to a month before a speed hump is installed. I'm just wondering if that's enough time, how many, what procedure it has to go through before it gets actually installed, and maybe we shouldn't limit ourselves to having it installed within a month. If indeed it has to go through any committees, planning department, council.
It would depend on the type of speed hump that they're requesting. If it's a permanent speed hump, certainly it could be a little bit longer, but the non-permanent ones is what we're referring to here, and they can be installed quite easily if the paperwork is filled out correctly. So it wouldn't take us much longer than a couple of weeks to make a decision on the non-permanent ones, or our mobile speed humps. So that's mainly the ones that these requests are looking to deal with, but we will have some permanent speed humps that we're also going to be, that will take a little longer to have a decision on.
And procedurally, I don't believe it would go to the planning committee or to the other committees. It goes from, from staff level to implementation, yeah.
All right,
So.
so you think a month is long enough?
For the non-permanent ones, certainly,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, and does it indicate here that we do have a limit? We only have so many temporary speed humps.
That's right.
So, just so that residents realize that it's not a guarantee that if they ask for one, they'll get it within a month.
Yeah, no, we have to go through the assessment process, and we may, based on what we have in the information and based on what we see in the road, and we have to do an assessment that they may not get the speed hump at all. We may indicate that it goes to another area. So there's no guarantee, for sure.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
And we do encourage the public to contact the RCMP about an immediate solution. If there's an individual that's speed on the street, we can contact the RCMP and they can go knock on the door or sit and wait. So, but the speed bump policy, so for something that's urgent, contact the RCMP, advise them, they will be on scene.
I have a question, Mayor.
Yeah, please go
And
ahead.
it kind of ties into what Gail was saying. I was surprised not to see a distinction between permanent and temporary speed bumps in here. I didn't know if that was something that, so everything goes through the same process, regardless whether it's a temporary or a permanent?
The main purpose of the policy was that we had a lot of these requests coming in for the mobile speed humps. There's a different process altogether for the permanent speed humps.
Yeah.
Maybe there needs to be a clarification.
Maybe we
in
do
here.
have to call it a
And-
temporary speed bump installation policy? I don't know, but I know I was expecting to see a distinction because I figured it was two different processes.
And we can make that slight amendment tonight. That's
Yeah.
what they're mainly, this policy's to deal with, because we've had so many requests coming in that,
Yeah.
didn't have a lot of information as to why they wanted the speed hump in the area. So we can make that clarification on that if you want to move that. Sure.
Okay. I just have one other question. If this actually, it's up on the screen, the checklist. So do all of these have to be satisfied in order for it to be approved?
I think
Some or all, majority?
I think it just goes into the assessment process when we're reviewing it, so I
Okay.
don't think they all have to be there, but.
I'm just curious because I do foresee, and I think they're great. I think all the things are great. I just, I think to some of the examples, and there might be streets where, like I saw that there was a petition clause to take out a speed pump. If there was a petition in a community to put one in, outside of these criteria, I just wonder if we get into a situation where most of these are covered, but maybe not all, but the community or the neighborhood,
Sure.
wants them, and does it give us flexibility? I don't know. Like, I know you don't want to put speed bumps in where they're not necessarily needed, and there's a perceived speeding issue. I get that. I think in our experience, sometimes it is perceived and not actual. But you get into communities where, maybe there's a lot of young families and kids, and maybe there's higher risk of kids running out into the road. And
Sure.
I don't know. But, yeah, I was wondering if all these had to be checked yes in order to be considered or not.
I think the consideration is if they're all checked, they're all checked no, then there'd be an issue there, right? But I think if there's one or two here that don't meet the policy, or don't meet the checklist, that they would still be considered. It all goes into
Yeah.
the consideration of the process, right?
Okay.
So I don't think they all have to be checked off.
Okay, so it's not laid out, this is just guidelines, basically,
Correct.
to give you something to evaluate that particular street on for,
Exactly.
yeah. okay.
Whereas we had nothing before.
Exactly, which I think all the points are good. Okay, well, I would like to make an amendment, if it's okay, to call this a temporary speed pump installation policy, if possible. I just think that distinction likely should be there, because I think a permanent speed hump is takes a little bit longer, and I think it has to go through provincial.
And we can have our permanent speed humps go through the request for decision process, which is a more thorough process that is brought to council for decision, because it is a budgetary concern when we have those permanent speed humps. So I think that's a good change here.
Okay, if you guys are okay with
Yep.
it, I'll put that forward.
Certainly.
Okay, the mover, are you okay?
Yes, the mover's okay.
Jeremy.
You okay with it? Okay, okay, so.
Jeremy, the people that had them last year, that have to reapply?
Yes, you have to reapply every year regardless, but what we've had is just an influx of 1 or 2 people, send them in, but
Yeah.
we want a little more, investigation from the residents before we go and install these, because as council said tonight, we only have so many of these, and we want to make sure we're deciding that they go in the best use and highest used areas, right? So the other thing is, when we do install these speed humps, we do notify the RCMP once we remove them, that this is an area that should be patrolled more often. So they're tools to try to help slow down traffic in the area. And it doesn't mean that they're staying there for the entire year. We do move them around.
Yeah.
So it's all in how we process the policy.
Yeah, and if I get a call from residents that would, I touch base with you and, or Derek Smith or RCMP?
With regard to applying for one of these?
Yeah.
They just contact the main office here
Okay.
and fill out the paperwork
Yeah.
and send it through, and then we send it, either myself or Jeannie will process it and send it off to Joe and get a decision on it at the staff level.
Jeremy, just a
They
question.
can access it through the website and
Okay.
download it
Yep,
and
absolutely.
send it all by email.
Yep.
Question, Jeremy, on the permanent speed humps, the province would make the final decision whether it's a go or no, or?
We do have to get permission. It's their
Yeah.
road that we're installing it
Yeah.
on, so there's a few roads that they've already given us the green light to say that we could install them there.
Yeah.
But if there's other sections of road that they have to assess them and make sure that, there's no issues with safety vehicles or anything like that
Yeah.
traveling through there, or if they, if it's happened to be an area where there's a lot of heavy trucks or something like that, they may say that they don't want that installed in that area. So they do have the final decision, but the approval process is relatively quick with them.
I guess the other thing too is timing. Do we set out how long those speed humps stay? Is that standard? How long you keep them in one place? I know you move them typically, but that's not captured in this policy, and maybe it doesn't have to be.
I think when they're assessing them, we do give information out that indicates that they're only in there for a certain amount of time, but there are other high-use areas that they do stay in a little longer, but
Okay.
it's a little more discretion on our part with that.
And Jeremy, how many do we have now?
I think we have
We ordered some this year.
20 sets now, do we not, Jeannie? Yeah,
We
you
ordered
say-
some of their budget.
20?
20, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been adding to the
Yeah, I know we're in every year.
stockpile every year. But they're time-consuming to install, so, to have a little more information, a little more deciding factors, it makes it a little bit more effective for our staff to decide where they go.
But they're great, like, the issue, I'm not going to have, but a resident, you place them there, the thumping. You're going to look at that too, say it's across the street from me, and I say, no, I don't want it there. What's going to happen?
It is an issue in certain areas,
Yeah.
and I mean, there can be some information brought to us with that, but, I don't believe they're that
Yeah,
noisy, but we've had some complaints about that in the past.
the thumping where I live, there's a post office box right across the street from me. I hear the car stop, I hear the car's doors closed,
Oh,
all the time.
yeah.
So, you can hear it pretty good. So that's what I'm saying, there's going to have some people, the thumping, right?
Well, we've had, there are some people that do not want them on their road, that
Yeah.
just, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
and, there are.
Well, they work well. I'm saying
Yeah.
they work well, and there's a great plan and everything else, and I hope that I get them where I want them.
You'll have to fill it.
Okay, we have an amended motion that's on the floor, and it's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Any more discussion? No? Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Okay, thank you for your report, Councillor Smith.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, Recreation, Culture, and Events. I'll ask Councillor Steve Gallant to give his report.
Yeah, there's a report in front of everybody. I know everything's sun's out, everything's starting to dry up. So Recreation and Culture Events Committee, the committee met on Thursday, April 28th, discussed topics such as 2022 capital budget, waterfront park, community campus, spring and summer maintenance, gym and fitness center, full reopening, and program updates for recreation and culture and events along with the youth center. Arts and culture, we're going to meet tomorrow. Down there, we have I'll skip down there, Arts and Culture Spring programming, they're all up and running. Busy, 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 full. Everybody's, they're starting class are almost April 4th, spring, and so on. The events, we're coming up to big July 1st. This might be my first one, July 1st outside, and so it's going to be look like Canada Days. The events are, it's in front of you there now. I'm going through some items, talked about T Hill Park gate opens 8:30 in the morning on Canada Day, and then different things, golf carts and welcome and so on, and cultural flavors and barbecue and hot dogs. The flag raising ceremony at 2:30, and the 2022 Volunteer Years Awards presentation, Canada Day cake and so on, ice cream and strawberries, the culture entertainment, a day in the life in Stratford photography. That's Tanya has that up and going, so I want to encourage people to use their phones, take pictures of Canada Day, and submit their photos will be on public display at the town center front in the summer months, posted on the town's social media, Facebook, and so on. Fall Fest is being for September 23rd, 24th, 25th, in planning stages right now. As always, the Stratford Youth Council Center are busy. The Youth Center Fishing Club will be running, paragraph 2 there, will be running for 5 weeks in April and May. This program is open to youth members and parents. The Youth Center Garden Club will start meeting in May. The club will be planning and maintaining the Youth Center garden plot located in the community gardens. All food grown will be donated when it's harvested. The Youth Center will be selling their annual kickoff, always doing fundraising for the center itself. Summer raffle tickets in May and June. Tickets are $5 each, 3 for $10. There are 3 prizes: $500 Sobeys gift card, a place $250 Sobeys gift card, and a $100 Sobeys gift card. So that's $850 from Sobeys. I want to thank you there for donating that. As a second fundraiser, the Youth Center will be collecting donations of gently used items for the month of May to be sold at their annual community yard sale and flea market to be held on Saturday, June 4th. Due to COVID, the Youth Center has not been able to host the full-scale version of this event for the past 2 years. Residents can register their properties to host yard sales and purchase tables at the giant flea market to be held at Town Center. A publication will be with a map will be available at the end of May, which will include all the information submitted. Members of the Stratford Youth Center, Stratford Youth Leadership Committee are in the final stages of fundraising. The Youth Council will be going on a 6-day trip to Ontario, Quebec, and the Leadership Committee will be going on a 3-day trip in Moncton, which is nice to see. They do some great work, and it's good to see a little payoff for them, a trip to Ontario, and I like all the facilitators for that, the chaperones. It's very good to see that, donating their time and going up and make sure everything's going right. It's just, you think of the kids, but you got to think of the chaperones, right, too, right? Takes their time out. The Youth Council is currently in the early stages of research and planning for a new group project. The Stratford Youth Center Drama Club, the roadside cleanup was on Saturday, May 7th. 34 youth workers and the parents, I saw them out, volunteering their time and efforts cleaning along ditches and roadside all around Bunbury Road, filling 40 garbage bags. This is an annual event and sponsored by the Stratford Area Lions Club. The programs are up and running. Summer camp flag football, under 4 soccer registration will be open June 1st. Co-ed volleyball program will be off in the summer months on Monday evenings from 8 to 9 p.m. Tennis PEI will be offering a series of lessons and league play upon site from June to August. The parks and sports fields, Upper McNeil and Bunbury Field are open on Tuesday, May the 3rd, just past Tuesday, with Kinloch Field delayed 1 day to May 4th. Lower McNeil Field is open. Fuller's multi-purpose field open on Tuesday, while Keppick Field was open on Wednesday. I was down the weekend at Fuller's Park and it was a Sunday morning, I guess it was Sunday morning. There must have been 30 to 35 cars in the parking lot. People were walking their dogs on a leash, and encourage that. And people are out, and the bathrooms are open, and the bathrooms were clean. It was great. Off the kudos to the maintenance, and people are out walking, and a lot of kids playing in the park. With a bird down there, with the small park for small kids. There must have been 10, 15 kids in that park, so it was great to see. It's a beautiful park, and it was great assets for the town of Stratford. Pondside tennis courts are nets up. are expected later this week. Active transportation, as the weather warms up, Stratford trails become more of a destination for walkers, hikers, and bikers. Trails are in good condition around the community. A new lookout is nearing completion at the new all-terrain trail in Kepwick Road. The lookout will provide activities with beautiful panoramas of Kenlock Beach and the Northumberland Strait. And the annual volunteer year awards are coming to a close near June 3rd. Nominations can be found on the town's webpage by emailing TanyaCraig@stratford.ca or by dropping into the town center office. Stratford has a wonderful group of dedicated volunteers providing their time and resources to countless wonderful programs, and we encourage anyone to nominate to serve a long-standing volunteer. And then, like I always said, volunteers make great communities, and we have a great asset of volunteers in the town of Stratford. And I just wanted to mention to, Mr. Pierce is not here tonight, he took a trip to Quebec with his Pee Wee hockey team. He got to the semifinals with probably his AA division, so he did really well. And it's 2022. I was up there in 2006 coaching the Pee Wee team from Stratford, and I told him how professional the tournament is and that you'll never forget it. And yeah, I was talking to Jerry this morning, he's ascertained those comments. He said it's unbelievable. He said, you know, I said, just looking at it today, like players like Mary Lemieux, Patrick Waugh, Stephen Arsman, Guy Lafleur attended these tournaments, and it was great. The team was 14 players from the town of Stratford, and it was a team of 17, 18, and they represented a PEI really good. So they got down to a semifinal game against Colorado, and I always said, I remember I was up there watching it, and I said that when you get to the semifinal game, you're going to be down, you're short on your bench. Your parents might not like it, but the other teams do it. And they were down, there's 7 or 8 players going just for a win-win-win. But anyway, they got to semifinals, and it did a great job. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the team and a job to Jeremy and I think Jamie, the other assistant coach, Darren Glant.
Jamie is assistant.
Jamie Glant,
Yeah.
yeah, and the great job they did. So represented Stratford very, very good. So,
Great.
it was,
Good to
yeah.
hear.
Anyway, that concludes my.
Well, thank you for your report.
Yep.
Councillor Gallant. I'm really glad to see a couple of things. I'd really, that community pantry, I think that's going to be a great thing for people that are struggling financially to access that. And it's also a way for people to, you know, if they buy too much of a given commodity or whatever, grocery or whatever, they can put it there and somebody can make good use of it. So the other thing is I'd like to really encourage everyone to look at the volunteers around them and the things they do and how much they contribute to the community, and really consider nominating them for Volunteer of the Year, because I think it is something that's really important. The volunteers in our town, if we had to pay people to do what the volunteers do, we'd never be able to afford it. It's just an amazing service that volunteers offer. So thanks for that.
I have a couple of questions for you tonight. I understand that baseball and softball, the numbers are up again this year,
Yes.
and the soccer numbers are down for some reason. So
Okay.
the numbers are down in soccer, but baseball and softball is carrying on.
Yes.
And I understand the mayor was on CBC radio this morning talking about the waterfront park. Do you have any comments on your vision of that park for us?
Oh, I just think it's a great park, and this park goes back to Mayor Dave Dunphy and when Steve was there, councillor, and Gary, in 8-9 years, and putting the sewer crossover to Charlottetown and developing this park, and just all around with infrastructure planning. Gary, Jill, and Gail, everybody around the table, everybody was positive, and we were in phase 1, and it's a great contribute. And even the public, the residents, was a survey out. It was a great survey and had their input. So it's a win-win-win. I look forward to having the boardwalk up and looking across over to Charlottetown on July night. It's going to be beautiful, and you see the Basilica Church, the steeple, and it's going to be a beautiful view. And even the condos there, they pull the condos back so they can walk across there. You know, they could have went to the edge there, They pull them back there, so it's a, and then the Michael Thomas Way there, and it's going to be great. It's a win-win-win. It's, like you said today in the news there, is 20, phase 1 of 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, but it's,
And I
especially with the active transportation coming off the bridge and going into that in the flowway, it's just, it's going to be great.
And I want to make it clear, and I'm not sure if they'll play it or they did play it on the radio or whatever, that this council and the staff that are here are responsible for that park. They and the residents of Stratford, they got engaged. They provided input. Every member of council provided good input, and all the staff members worked hard to put that in place. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a credit to everyone in this room and everyone in our community.
Yeah.
So.
The
Thank you.
plans are unreal. It was like, I remember I looked at the first time Jill had the community campus, and I walked in here as a resident, and I said, whoa, it blew me right out, right? But the plans are unreal for Waterfront Park, and the walk out there, and I imagine people doing yoga and exercise, and, you know, it's great. It's a small cafe, and you're gonna meet and greet people, you're gonna see residents and exchange, and it's just gonna be, you know,
Can't
and
wait.
fresh air and health and walking and so on, and it's a win-win. Yeah,
Yeah, this time next year, we should have a good,
yeah.
you know, should be in place, and everything should be able to be used and enjoyed.
Yep.
Okay, thanks for your report, Councillor Gallant.
Thank you
Just
so
have
much.
a statement, question there. I noticed this morning that they said it's a Michael Thomas Parkway, so that's official. That's going to be called Michael Thomas
Michael
Park?
Thomas Waterfront Park.
Waterfront Park, that's
That's
official?
my understanding, yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what it was, when it was originally, when the statue was originally put there, that was
Yes.
the name that was put on
yeah.
on the park that was there then, yeah.
Oh, yeah, bringing her up to front now, and with, like I say, the work, you guys, I'm just saying, Dave and you guys council before us, and, you know, talking to the former premier, Wade, and everything else, and how the sewer and everything else took time, right? 8, 9 years to get where we're at now, eh?
Yep.
It's, but it all came together, and with the help of the provincial government, PCs and
Yeah.
Liberals and so on.
Yeah, we're really grateful to the provincial
Yeah.
and federal government for the help they gave us there too, yeah, put that in place.
Yeah, but in behind the scenes to get it started, you know, it was, you guys, it's great. Anyways.
Did you have a question? No? Anybody else have any questions? Okay, we'll move on then. Thanks for your report. And we'll move on to Finance and Technology. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Gail McDonald, to give her report.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the reports are all in your package there. We did not meet in the month of April, the Finance Committee. Decided to give the Finance Director a well-deserved few days off, and that was great. Hope you enjoyed it. I have a brief report that what the staff have been working on for the last month. They've been working on government claim forms for year-end. Also, the new deal audit is in process. They've been working on the MCEG grant for capital purchase for year-end 2022, and they're working on a year-end audit file. They've been reviewing information for the revenue sharing. They've been having meetings on that. They're also reviewing the fire dues information from other municipalities for a future meeting with our fire company. And they're currently working on utility disconnects. The next round of disconnects will be the week of May 24th. The due date for the April utility bills is tomorrow. And they've been working with infrastructure on the land sale from the town to the business park. And they were attending some meetings with regard to the switch program. Any questions on that? I'm sure our Director of Finance can answer them.
Councillor, in regards to our tax bill we received the other day, there was a note there from the provincial government. Can you kind of briefly tell us what that was all about?
Well, maybe, Kim, do you want to go there?
Sure. I guess last Friday there was an announcement that the provincial government had passed legislation that they were going to reduce the provincial portion of the property tax bill for CPI, so that there wouldn't be as high of a CPI increase to property tax bills. It does not affect the municipal side at all. Our municipal portion will stay the same, so it has no effect on our budget. So that is what the note refers to in your property tax bill.
Did the provincial government advise you?
No,
So we couldn't have reacted anyway.
no, we found out about it on Monday morning and communicated with the province and found out that way.
Right, so communications was broken down.
Any other questions on the finance report?
Well, I think the provincial government on Friday raised, what was it, gas tax, was it
Carbon.
the carbon tax, and I think they're trying to offset that, which was nice to see, and
Mhm.
come back and drop it that way, and at the 5 cents, and I think.
Take with one hand and give with the other.
Yeah. Well, we could get it twice, right? It was
Yeah.
nice to even recognize that, so.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the income statements are in our package as well for March. They were missing from last month's package, so they're there now. For perusal. Last month, our revenue was down 1.2%. Our expenses were down 2.5%. And for the utility, last month, our revenue was up 24%, but that's indicative of that Clearview subdivision donation that we received. That's why the number is a bit skewed. And our expenses last month were down 5.2% for utility. So this month, for the town of Stratford revenue, it's up 8.6% from our projected figures, and our expenses are down 12.4% right now. There's a snapshot of what it looks like. And for our utility, revenue is down 6.3%, and our expenses are down 14.9%. If you want any further, any questions on that, either myself or my finance director, I'm sure can answer. Other than that, without a meeting, that's all my report, and we're going to have a meeting next week.
Okay, good, thank you.
Why would our utilities be down? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Can you give an explanation why the utilities are down 12, or down
6%?
6 points?
It's just due to the fact that the bills go out quarterly.
Okay.
So the.
Just a snapshot of time.
Yeah, it's just a timing.
Things will level out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Comments? Okay, thank you very much
You're
for
very
your
welcome.
report. Okay, we'll now move to Planning, Development, and Heritage. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Jill Burridge, to give her report.
Okay, the minutes from our last meeting are in your package. Discussion items, subdivision applications was, again, the Chen Sun subdivision off Mason Road. That is, they're making some changes there with access into the parkland. So that won't be coming to a resolution tonight. There's some background being done there with regards to the park that was laid out within the revised plan. On the official plan, policy, and bylaw, home occupations were a big discussion, and we kind of just went through the childcare piece, but the golf simulator conversation from last month sparked a further investigation into our home occupation bylaw. And so the planning team is looking at that. There was a line in our old bylaw that gave a little more flexibility to council on home occupations. It wasn't carried through to the new bylaw. So Kevin and his team are doing research on that, and they were just getting some direction from the planning board on whether they were going down the right track on that particular conversation. So I think Kevin got the direction that he needed to proceed with research on that, and so that is in development mode right now on the home occupation piece.
Jill, just,
Sorry.
sorry.
Yeah.
When you have, say, flexibility council doesn't have, we're losing,
So there
are we
was.
losing flexibility, are we losing strength?
No, it was more flexible before.
Okay.
In the old bylaw.
Okay.
It was very defined. Councillor McDonald picked up on it. There was an old line that said, "Business and professional uses which are, in the opinion of council, would not create a nuisance due to issues such as traffic generation, noise, or hours of operation."
Okay.
And when they developed the new bylaw, they took that out and they specifically listed what could be a home occupation. So yeah, I think there was a lot of discussion on that at the meeting. And I think that, I think they're gonna, Kevin and team are gonna go look and see what other communities are doing. And they're gonna come back with some samples, and just kind of give the planning board and council a little bit more research on home occupations and what people are doing out there. So that's where that stands. And then finally, the housing supply challenge, we just kind of opened this up to the planning board. There has been some consultation going on with that as part of that project. All of this to be basically, it's a unique opportunity for Stratford to take advantage of this. It's a CMHC application. It's a unique opportunity that's kind of tailored to where we are in our life as the town of Stratford. We are a bit of a community in transition. So I think that this, you know, if even the application doesn't get through, and we're shortlisted now, but if we don't go over that hump, I think the conversations that it's spurring are fantastic for our community at this particular juncture of time. We are under an official plan review year, so I think we're getting a lot out of these consultations that, if at anything, we can use it in our official plan review. So it's been really good. The feedback we're getting is really, really good on that. We updated planning board on IRAC. And we talked about the Sikh church in the residential community, and just a little bit of a discussion on that. It was mostly a planning board member just wondering about, you know, what happened there, because that is being handled by staff. And so staff, as we talked about earlier, are working with the community on that one. Those were the items discussed at planning board. And I do have some resolutions, but if there's any questions on the report, feel free.
I just have a comment with regard to that housing supply challenge briefing that was given a couple of mornings ago. It was excellent.
Yeah.
The information that was provided there, the analysis and the statistics, and some of the things that I was just really surprised at, and it was really eye-opening. There was a lot of good information that was provided at that briefing, and I was just wondering if those slides could be made available to all the council members, and really, if we could somehow get Samantha and the two individuals again to and make sure all of council is there, if possible. It would be really beneficial, because I thought that was just an excellent presentation.
They've done a lot of good work there, and a lot of data, and a lot of stats that were absolutely eye-opening for this community. Yeah, so there was the meeting set up this week for council and the planning board. And it must have just been a bad time. We didn't have great turnout. So yeah, we'll definitely try to find another time. The application does go in at the end of this month, or no, June 15th, but they want to have it kind of the consultation piece done by the end of May, so they could gather it to put it in the application, have it submitted by June 15th. But I mean, any of the details in that report is good for council and planning board to hear at any time,
Well, I would
regardless
ask,
of the application.
I would say it's more than beneficial.
Yeah.
It's something that is really urgently needed.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to understand the information that's in there in order.
Yeah.
It really influences a lot of the decisions that we make, and that information is really, really important. that was a really, really good briefing, and
Yeah.
we really need to all have that. So
Yep,
I would
we'll
ask
make
that-
it happen.
I would ask if you, yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Thanks.
we'll make it
Thanks a lot.
happen. Yeah.
Thanks.
If there's any other questions?
Is the golf simulator business, is that shut down until we,
Until we figure out this
Figure
home
out where we're
occupation
going
piece,
with
yeah,
it.
we can't really do anything on that. Right, Kevin? It's not shut down. We have to figure out this home occupation piece. We have to figure that out
so they're
first.
still operating?
And then oh, okay, Kevin, you might want to speak to that.
They actually have a formal application into us for the use. What we found out, and as it was highlighted here this evening, at last month's meeting when we were discussing this resolution, we were pointed to a section of the bylaw that actually had changed, and we were under the assumption that it was still the old regulations. When we looked at it closer, the section that actually gives council the authority to consider uses that do not create such things as issues with noise, traffic generation, hours of operation. That used to be in the old bylaw and gave council the ability to consider additional uses that are not listed, but with that clause since removed, it actually does not give council the ability. If you do not have a business that is not currently listed in the bylaw, then technically you can't get a home occupation permit. We feel that based on the way the official plan is written, that may have in fact been an error. It was the official plan intended to, for the town to be more flexible and give more opportunities for home occupations to exist within our community, and just the way, with that clause being removed. So what we've agreed to do is take it to planning board, which we did, and have a discussion about, do you want us to look into this more and see what other jurisdictions are doing and potentially bring it back and give some recommendations about potentially amending the bylaw? So, what actually should be allowed and how should it be worded in the bylaw? So it's much clearer. In some instances, some jurisdictions list what's not allowed, which is, they talk about the ones that they feel is too much of a nuisance, like retail, for instance. They don't feel retail is a good fit in a home occupation. So there's different ways to potentially target this, but we have to give some consideration to what that is, and we have to do the research in order to bring that back and get a feeling from planning board and council as to what they'd like to do. If we do choose to open that up, then we have to go through the public process and have consultation with residents on it and see if they're ultimately in favor of it as well.
Thank you.
Did we, Kevin, did we receive complaints? I think everything came forward. Do we know that they're having this games illegal right now? Are they legal, or is this the bylaw misunderstanding?
There's no permit that's been issued for the town at this point in time, no.
So they're operating illegal right now?
That would be correct, yes.
Yeah. So, and we had some complaints from the residents?
I have no formal complaints from the residents,
Formal
no.
complaints? Nothing at all? No emails exchanged? No? So we know something is operating in our town, we know it's operating illegal, and we're gonna let it go.
I didn't say that. I said we're reviewing the bylaw to see
Yeah.
if we actually feel that we should be amending it or not.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that the bylaw is there for us to say, okay, you have to close your doors till we reach another decision. If you're operating, why don't we close the doors?
Well, if you're asking me to close the doors, then ask me
Yeah.
to do that.
You know,
Well, I think our approach to bylaw enforcement has always been, it's complaint driven. If we get a formal complaint from a resident about something that's operating or something that's going on, whether it be unsightly property or whatever, then we act upon it, but we don't actively go out and try to find violations. Is that correct, Jeremy?
Yep.
Yeah. So with that approach, they've come forward to apply, and we're doing our research. In the meantime, they're operating, and unless we have complaints, I guess they'll continue to operate.
but they're operating illegal, they have signage and everything else.
But
and-
our approach to bylaw enforcement has always been, it's complaint driven. So if we
Okay.
get a formal complaint, then I think we would shut them down.
Do we send the letter, well, do we want to get, if we're going to send the letters, we'll get complaints. A lot of people just don't know. If the letters, okay, we're not even there to letters, but it's a legal operation and we're leaving it open. It's like, it's, if I'm Steve Dowland, a resident of Stratford, and I want to open up down here in the business park or in the middle of Sobeys, I got to compete against this gentleman here that doesn't have a license. But I get a license. I'm getting a license downtown operating a commercial business, so he's operating in a residence.
Then you
We
would
know.
probably, you would probably complain, and then we would shut the other one down.
Yeah.
So that's the way we've approached it. We don't have the resources to go out and enforce all of
Yeah.
our bylaws on a proactive basis. We have to wait till residents get upset, or if they see something that
So
they're
we
not happy with, then we respond to it. But the staff wouldn't have enough resources. We'd have to hire a lot more people to do what our staff do.
Well, while I was a resident there and nothing's been done by the town, I'd be complaining. I guess I'm just not down that area.
Well, if they give a formal complaint, then we'll shut them down. That's my understanding of the approach. Yeah.
Well, we know we're representing the town. We're all
Yeah, you made your
council-
point. You
Yeah.
got your point. We understand what you're saying.
Let's get something done.
Yeah,
Let's do something. Let's shut it down and then work on it.
but we will if there's a formal complaint. There hasn't been a formal complaint. So if there's a formal complaint, we'll shut them down.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments on the report, planning and development report?
We just have to email. Yeah, any other questions on the report? And the one thing that I did miss was we do have a new planner, which is fantastic because I know Jeremy touched on it, so it's good to have that extra resource in the department. Dale McKeegan, lots of experience there, so that's good. If there's no further questions on the report, I'll move to the building permit summary and the building type summary, if anyone has any questions on any of those. It's busy, that's no surprise. We've blown by 2021 levels, that's for sure. We're sitting at 17.5 million for this year in development permit summary. Is there any questions? Concerns? All right. I'm going to move on to the resolutions. And these are second reading and adoption for the ones that we did first reading of at the last council meeting. So a lot of it will be repetitive. Number PH 018-2022-A002-22, general text amendments, Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45, second reading. Whereas several text amendments to the zoning and development bylaw number 45 have been identified to bring childcare facilities up to date with the PEI Government Early Learning and Childcare Act, as well as minor text amendments that are required to aid in clarification to section 1136, medium density residential zone, R2 for lot coverage, and other text amendments bringing updated language to improve the zoning and development bylaw number 45. And whereas a public meeting was held on March 23rd, 2022 at 7 p.m., and due to current COVID-19 gathering restrictions, this public meeting was limited to 25 people, but also live streamed on the town's Facebook and YouTube. Residents were given until March 30th, 2022 to submit their comments. And whereas no comments were received from the public regarding the required text amendments, be it resolved that bylaw number 45K, a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw, bylaw number 45, be hereby read and approved a second time. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a meeting held on April 4th, 2022. So moved.
Do I have a seconder? I'll second it. Thank you. Okay, any discussion?
In this day and age, how is that advertised? Is this through the Guardian? Do we advertise these meetings?
Yeah, well, it's laid out. Kevin would have a better on hand, but I think it's the Guardian. It's on social media. It's on the website.
Okay.
What else?
We are legally required to still post it in the Guardian.
Okay.
We don't feel we probably get as much viewing from that, but when it is a specific property, we have to put signage on the property as well, but we do share it on all our social media platforms and our email, bi-weekly emails, mass emails that go out and stuff as well, so.
And in this case, there was multiple places, but in like a business and a house, you would notify the residents around that business, right? Is that how that works?
Not in this specific area, because this is a global thing for the entire town. So anywhere, any residential area in the town is affected by this. So what we're doing is we're modifying anywhere where home occupations were currently allowed. We're making some modifications to that, particularly in the early childhood or the childcare facilities component, to bring ourselves in line with the Early Childhood Learning Act.
Okay.
Province.
Just make sure that the coverage, sometimes I often wonder about the Guardian, how much we're obligated to advertise, but how much bang for the buck are we getting there? But
It's not cheap.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Not, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried.
Okay. So adoption. Number PH 019-2022, A 002-22, general text amendments, Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw. Number 45, adoption. Whereas bylaw number 45K, a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45, was read and approved first time on April 13th, 2022. And whereas bylaw number 45K, a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45, was read and approved a second time on May 11th, 2022. Be it resolved that bylaw number 45K, a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45, be hereby adopted, and that the mayor and chief administrative officer be authorized to affix their signatures and corporate seal of the town thereto, and be formally declared the said bylaw passed. So moved.
Seconder? Thank you. Any discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Burge.
I think
Thank
I
you.
have one more.
Oh, you got another
Street
resolution?
naming.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I missed it. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, this is regard to street names. Number PH 020, 2022, new street name request, Trans-Canada Highway roundabout connecting streets. Whereas a new roundabout to be constructed on the Trans-Canada Highway will add 2 new streets constructed to McKinnon Drive and Shakespeare Drive to the Trans-Canada Highway. And whereas the Heritage Subcommittee has suggested the following street name: Lottie Way, connecting to McKinnon, South Side TCH; Lorne Drive, connecting to Shakespeare, North Side TCH. Whereas around 1930, the land on which the road was built was bought by Lorne and Lottie Kelly. He farmed the property until the mid-1950s. Be it resolved that approval be granted to the following street name for connection between McKinnon Drive and Shakespeare Drive: Lottie Way, connecting to McKinnon, South Side TCH; Lorne Drive, connecting to Shakespeare, North Side TCH. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee, as discussed at a meeting held on April 4th, 2022. So moved.
Seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, any discussion?
I just want to comment, Mr. Kelly, I believe, does the research in this. It's kind of unique that
Oh, it's
every
fantastic.
street in Stratford has a story behind it, so I want to congratulate him again for his effort in this.
Yeah. If you haven't done so already, read his report. It's, yeah. And the story behind Lorne and Lottie is fantastic. And, back in the day, I think whether they moved from Bunbury to Southport or Southport to Bunbury, I forget which way they moved, but, it was a move at that time, right? And so to connect those 2 pieces together with their names, I think is almost serendipitous. It's a great story behind it. Yeah.
It appears that Lottie got her way.
That's actually pretty good.
That was good.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried.
That's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. Thank you. Committee of the Whole, any, anything?
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure. You missed infrastructure? 13.
Oh, 13, I'm scrolling down too fast here. Infrastructure, ask Deputy Mayor Gary Clow to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. Minutes of our meeting of April 19th is in your package, and most of what's in that we'll be discussing in my report. Kepic Road Multi-Use Trail, the contractors will be returning to the site to complete the landscaping and repairs in the next couple of weeks. Earthform, they've completed the lookout deck, which includes seating space and bicycle racks. I was down there the other day. It's really nice if anyone has driven by there. It's being used already. I've had some requests, and we are going to put some garbage cans there. And we're looking at putting one up by T Hill Park too. A lot of people walking with dogs and stuff need a place to drop stuff off, and that's a great addition. That lookout there looks really nice. Pondside watershed restoration. McCulloch Environmental Engineering continues to work on the design and plans for the restoration work. As the permit to lower the pond has not been received yet, it may be June before this occurs. Sagway continues to provide support and input on the project, as well as the PEI Invasive Species Council. Inflow and infiltration. The department continues to monitor the sanitary sewer infrastructure to identify areas where repairs are needed. The new waterfront reservoir. Staff have identified inaccuracies in pipe size used in the model by the consultant. The model and report is being reviewed by the consultant to confirm the findings of the size of new reservoir required. Once completed, an RFP will be issued for design and service. The community campus site servicing, CBCL, are working on the design of the water, sewer, storm, electrical, roads, and active transportation for the campus. They anticipate being ready for tender in July, with the expectation that construction will begin in August. The infrastructure staff has been busy with spring cleanup of properties, flower beds, and trails. Tool equipments have been moved to the new dry storage building. Hiring process for summer staff positions and hiring process for part-time custodian positions. Tender preparation for capital equipment and vehicle purchases. Preparation of workplace for the 2023 fiscal year. Bylaw complaints and investigations are ongoing. Water system sampling and maintenance is ongoing. Water and sewer inspections and water turn-ons for new developments ongoing. During the month of April, there were no major sewer water emergencies. A check valve in the Callaway pump station failed and resulted in the pump not being able to pump out the chamber. The issue was resolved temporarily and will be permanently corrected by the end of the day on May 9th. So that's my report, Your Worship. If there's any questions.
I guess that was the reason for the closure of the Kinloch Road yesterday, because the Callaway check valve was being repaired.
No, the work that was done yesterday was with regards to the water main valve that we had to go out in January to do an emergency repair on. So that was a water main valve. The Callaway station was the sewer pump station where the pumps had to be looked at. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I also want to comment that Heidi Wood and her staff had a nice story written about them, and I want to congratulate the whole section down there for what they've done for us.
Yeah, she's had a couple of stories actually and did a great job on them.
Yeah, but her staff also, they're
Absolutely,
good people,
yeah.
great people.
Just great work.
That was a great story. Heidi and Rosemary down there. It's a
Yeah.
great story. And
Great.
same with the custodian here is a great story. It's a lot of positive, positive things said about it. There was a difference and everything else. It's great. And as a collective, a group here, we made that decision. You led it, Jeremy, and we got it done. That was great. And same with Heidi. Yeah, that's great, yeah. The tenders there for the vehicle purchase are now, do we look on, of course we look in PEI, but do we look over here for the business too, if they can help us out if we need any vehicles? Purchase?
They don't.
You know, well, I
Sorry,
guess
yeah.
we tendered out, but we're staying in the island anyway, but,
We've published the tenders and asked for quotes.
Yeah.
For proposals, basically,
Yeah.
for what they can provide to us.
I was just thinking the business in Stratford over here, a vehicle, if might have something here, but I know we're looking for something new, maybe electric, are we?
Both, actually.
What's that?
We're looking for a truck and also an electric vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Supply may be hard to come by, but we're going to source out and see what we can get.
Yeah,
With regard to your question about, we do have a 5%, if Stratford businesses are within 5% of the price, I think we tend to go with them, don't we? That's the approach?
We do have that in a procurement policy, but I believe that may be up to a maximum of $25,000. I'd have to verify that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they sell new vehicles over here, or they're all secondhand, are they? Yeah, all secondhand.
yeah.
All secondhand
I
vehicles.
think they're all secondhand, yeah. But even, anyways.
The electrical though, is there electrical
Yeah.
vehicles? up there?
Just-
Yeah.
Just while you're there, Jeannie, I understand that the roundabout, the provincial government's going to be starting the roundabout very soon on the Trans-Canada.
Tried to get an update on that on Friday, and I was told that they seem to be on schedule to be starting sometime in June.
Yeah. So there's going to be a fair bit of construction in our town over the summer. There's going to be the work that's being done on the Kelly's Pond, the roundabout, and the work that's being done on the community campus. I guess the important thing is going to be to make sure communication is, and a lot of it will be from the provincial government, but it'll be really important that residents are aware of what's going to be happening when, so any advance notice we can get out ahead of time about what's happening.
Yes,
and
absolutely. When
whatever.
we have schedules confirmed, we would definitely have that notification put out.
Great, thank
I
you.
imagine the province will be putting notification out to them around about.
Yes,
along
they
with
would
us.
be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I did notice in Trans-Canada Highway, the surveying sticks. are
I've
out.
noticed them there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll start that sooner than later,
There's great things happening with the roundabout,
Okay.
waterfront, everything. It's just community campus. I'll tell
And
you.
they're gonna start down at the waterfront there, spreading the topsoil.
Yeah,
Sooner than later, I guess, again, this week.
Yeah, we've had a look at the site. It is still wet under although it looks dry at the surface, it's quite wet still underneath everything. So they do have to wait till it's dry enough to get the equipment back on. It may be a few weeks. They're thinking into June, but we're watching and monitoring it.
And then it's going to be hydro-seeded and
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
grass will grow.
Yep.
Great.
we're painting the building, Jared. Building's going to correspond with the other building? We're painting that building, something? Yeah, Jeannie?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we're
So
going to get
plan-
the
so
building
plans
to
in there.
match, yeah.
Very nice.
Okay, any other questions or comments on Deputy Mayor's report?
I have one resolution, Your Worship.
Yeah.
No questions. Resolution number INC 003-2022, Municipal Strategic Component of Canada Community Building Fund. Whereas the Bunbury Sewer Pump Station upgrade was approved in the capital budget for $350,000, contingent on funding, and has been selected for submission for funding under the Municipal Strategic Component MSC of the Canada Community Building Fund. And whereas the Stratford Utility is applying to the MSC program for funding in the amount of $175,000 as priority number 1 under this program, to be reviewed in May by the Project Review Committee. Be it resolved that the application for funding for $175,000 under the Municipal Strategic Component of the Canada Community Building Fund be approved. In addition, Council understands and commits that it will be responsible for its designated share of the eligible cost of the project and will assume responsibility for any and all operating and maintaining costs resulting from the project. And there's no recommendation from,
No, that was part of our capital project budget, so we didn't bring it to committees.
okay. So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it. Steve?
I don't know which way, well, I don't know who got there first.
Okay.
Do you
Darren.
want to explain what's
Darren.
happening, Jeannie? Just
Okay, seconded by Darren. Thank you. Councilor McDougall, sorry. Okay, any discussion? This is just access, this is what's known as, is it the gas tax fund for the
That's
use
right, it's a
for
component of
upgrading
the-
our pumping station? Yeah.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
So would our share have to be a supplementary budget?
No,
No.
we've approved the entire $350,000
Okay.
in our capital,
Excellent. Okay.
contingent on the 50% funding coming through from
And
the
we got it.
MSC.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody clear on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
That's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you for your report. Okay, Committee of the Whole. Anything from Committee of the Whole? Nothing there. Okay, Sustainability. I'll ask the Chair of that committee, Councillor Darren McDougall, to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. The minutes for the meeting are in your package, and I'll highlight the items that we discussed. When I say we, I wasn't present. I had some technical difficulties. I think I was in and out, but more out than in. I don't know if you even saw me in there, did you dare?
No, we did not.
You didn't even catch me? I saw you guys for a bit, but anyway, we're dealing with some in-house internet issues or something. But anyway, that being said, I reviewed the meeting and highlighted these points. The Municipal Natural Assets Initiative was discussed to open the meeting, and in that discussion, we had hired a recent graduate, Ingra, to help with this project, and we used the funding from the Climate Challenge Fund to hire Ingra. We had an update on the SWITCH program. This program continues to be very heavily utilized by our residents in Stratford, and we expect that the third intake is going to be eaten up fairly quickly. It hasn't slowed down. The desire for the residents to utilize this program is still strong, and that program continues to be a success for us. The Bunbury Forest update. So the appraisal was completed, and the owners of the property felt that the appraisal was quite low. So that negotiation is still ongoing, and we're going to continue to make efforts to acquire that property. But obviously, there's some issues, and one being that the appraisal is seemingly not where the residents or the owners believe it should be. We had an update on the community campus. Of course, we received our funding, which is great news. So the consultant has met with us and Jeremy and his team. So there's lots going on there as far as the utilization of that funding and whatnot. We touched on the sustainable procurement project. We signed an RFP with Charlottetown, and they're in the process of hiring a consultant to do the work on the sustainable procurement project. The Kelly's Pond update. We hired Brian McCullough in McCullough Engineering. I'm not familiar with him, but all indications are that he's put together a solid team, and they're currently well underway in planning that project to get that going. The climate trackers was seems like a neat little program. It was launched with the City of Charlottetown and UPEI, so people can use an app. It's called the UPEI Climate Diaries, and we're encouraging people in our community to use this app and upload their information to the app, which we'll be able to get that information for ourselves, for our use, and review it and whatnot for our benefit. And the Feed the Bees was discussed, and of course Derek has already touched on that, the bee issues. I have a resolution in my here that I have to read. If anybody has any questions or anything, you guys feel free, guys and girls.
In the minutes, I had mentioned the new ice cream shop opened up in Stratford. I just want to point out that that ice cream shop is doing extremely well, to the point where the owner almost had to double his staff. So there's a lot of more jobs for the young people in this town. So,
Oh, yeah,
thank you for that.
It's doing well. I know, I'm there. Huh?
We're all going to gain weight.
I
One
go
thing
by
that,
there, yeah,
oh, go ahead, Gary.
I go by there every day, and it's as bad as Tim Hortons. I mean, they're lined up at 12 o'clock. At 11:30, they're waiting for it to open, and
Tell me about it.
all day, it's packed.
I actually emailed Jeremy and I forget who else, but for the crosswalk to be painted there, as in, I know there's lights and there's flags, but because a lot of kids, your kids, my kids, they're leaving school and they're just going straight to that, what's the scoop for an ice cream? Like, this is the new. So I said, if we can just like paint that crosswalk a little bit better and add another layer of safety, because that's a big road to cross for them. But yeah, it's definitely popular, no question.
But the owner has made it a point to hire on the kids from this area. So there's a lot of kids working up there now for us.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. Like,
Oh, yeah. The drive-through is a key there, drive-through.
Yeah.
That's a key.
Well, he made a big investment there, you know. He put a lot
Yeah.
of money into that, and it's paying off.
Like down the road, you might see an overpass when they have two schools, junior school and senior school.
Right to,
Really?
right to the ice cream
You
shop.
could, yeah. An overpass, you know, before in that area, just to go, like you see in other towns and cities, yeah. It's nice.
Under or over?
Well,
We already got one under,
we're
off the bridge here, the underpass, getting
Yeah.
to school.
moving forward, Gary, thinking forward.
Okay, any other comments or questions on Councillor McDougall's report? If not, please proceed with your resolution.
Resolution, SC 001-2022, switch program bylaw amendment, first reading. Whereas the switch program currently has a requirement to register a lien on each property participating in the program. And whereas after careful review of section 162(4) of the Municipal Government Act, where it states, all unpaid municipal utility charges and accrued interest and other expenses or costs incurred by a municipality in relation to a property or levied on a property constitute a lien on the real property in respect of which the service was provided, the expenditure was made, or the charge was levied. That has priority over every claim, privilege, or encumbrance of every person except the Crown against that property until payment in full is made. And whereas by moving the requirement to register the lien on the property, this provides less of a barrier for residents to participate in the program. Be it resolved that attached bylaw number 52A, a bylaw to amend the switch program bylaw number 52, be hereby read and approved a first time. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Sustainability Committee as discussed at a meeting held on March 2nd, 2022, and from the Committee of the Whole Council as discussed at a meeting held on March 23rd, 2022. So moved.
Okay, do you have a seconder?
Second by Derek Smith.
Thank you. Okay, discussion. Any discussion? No? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Okay, the next, thank you very much for your report, Councilor McDougall.
Thank you.
Okay, next report is accountability and engagement. No report. There was no meeting. And I guess about the only thing to report with regard to that file is, and that's my committee, we haven't been able to get a quorum to have a meeting. So we're looking at options there. And we will be having a meeting with the Premier and the Minister of Finance and our local MLA in the future, and we're preparing for that. So we're looking forward to that. But other than that, there's no other information with regard to accountability and engagement. Is there any questions or comments? If not, we'll go to Human Resources. Anything to report there?
No report at this time, Your Worship.
Okay. Okay, number 18, inquiries by members of council. Anything that anyone would like to inquire about around the table, around the council table? If not, we'll move to other committees. Stratford Seniors Complex, the chair of that committee, Deputy Mayor Gary Clow.
Thank you, Your Worship. We're planning on meeting next week, and little report is that the spring maintenance is being completed at the complex. Gardening quotes are being reviewed. Draft financial statements are ready to be reviewed by senior committee and council. Things are running smoothly at the complex. Building is nice and tidy, no issues. We'll be starting to review capital items on replacement plans to get work scheduled for this year. And we are receiving calls from North Shore seniors asking to send people their way to fill vacant units. So that's my report for the seniors.
Any comments or questions on Deputy Mayor's report?
The last one there, Gary, the North Shore Seniors, is the Stratford Seniors Complex or just open to seniors?
Over here, it's open to seniors.
Open to seniors, yeah. It's nice, yeah. But they're saying we can't fill it with their Stratford seniors, or like
No,
it's first come, first serve?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I'm a senior, I'll be looking at it.
You'll be there.
Any other comments or questions?
No, I was just saying that, I know it was open a couple times, we couldn't fill it, and it's nice that we could open the door and other seniors, right?
Okay, thank you very much for your report, Deputy Mayor Clow.
Yep.
We'll now move to Community Campus Implementation Committee. The chair of that committee is Councillor Jill Burridge. Ask for her report.
I have a resolution that's centered around a report. I'll read in the resolution. This is basically our main business lately with the community campus. Has been Jeannie's work on the RFP side and construction, but also having this final conceptual final plan put forward to the community.
Yeah.
So that's what my resolution is based on tonight. Number CC 001-2022, adoption of the community campus master plan. Whereas in 2018, the long-term vision for the community campus was unveiled to more than 150 residents at a public meeting, and whereas in 2019, the Community Campus Planning Committee further engaged the community about desired elements and amenities for the campus, and whereas Council has been laying the groundwork for improvements by advocating to the province for new school infrastructure while also adding capacity to its current recreational facilities. The consultant has completed the planning process to provide the amenities that the growing town needs, such as schools, sports facilities, and gathering places, all nestled together in a community campus on 170 acres of land purchased by the town. And whereas the purpose of this community campus plan is to develop a site plan with all the elements and amenities laid out in accordance with the relationship to one another, rather than just being a utilitarian space to which students, residents, and families drive to pursue singular activities. The campus should become the heart of civic life in Stratford. Its form and function will be able to evolve to continuously be a relevant public space for the use of the people. The campus should be able to grow over time and adapt to changes in philosophies of work, education, and recreation as they emerge. Whereas Upland Planning and Design was engaged to develop a plan for the community campus area lands, including engaging citizens in the design to establish a community vision for a future community campus. And whereas the resulting community campus plan will provide the town of Stratford with a plan to help guide the design and development of the campus that will include a high school, recreational and cultural facilities, active transportation networks, sports fields, and additional community development space. Be it resolved that the attached community campus plan prepared by Upland Planning and Design be hereby adopted. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Community Campus Implementation Committee from the meeting held on February 16th, 2022. So moved.
Do you have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, discussion.
I just wanted to point out that we did mention Denise Ling earlier this evening of her passing. I think she was one of the biggest advocates for this community campus, especially the high school.
Denise was a huge advocate for bringing this piece of school infrastructure to our community, no question. Yeah, she was highly involved in those initial conversations, yeah.
Yeah, she was a hard worker at this area.
I know she was at all the meetings. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, overall, a lot of, as you guys feel like we've been talking about this forever, but there's been a lot of consultation. A lot of you have been involved on the committee, the implementation committee. So a lot of you know what's going on. This is a master plan. It's conceptual. You know, there is a lot of language in here. There's a lot of detail and a lot of things that Upland looked at. There's a lot of really great stuff in here. The committee found it, they just couldn't, you know, when they first went through it and in the public consultation, like people were saying, geez, I can't believe the detail, right? So there's a lot of detail, but there's also flexibility for us as a town built in. It does, you know, go into phasing over time, which is some of the feedback we gathered from the public to be able to see that. It's, which is great, so people can see how it's going to develop over time. With regards to the indoor rec facility, it kind of, you know, we had our public consult on what pieces the community would like to see in that, so it gives us an idea. It does have a picture of what that could be, but it doesn't hold us to it. It's basically planned now so that we can understand the footprint that that building would bring to this campus. We basically had to figure out, based on community needs and a little bit of desire, what that footprint might look at. So at this point, that's what this is. It took all that input and put it in there. But I think Upland has done a fantastic job in laying out the pieces in the most logical way, and so that things connect easily. They did a great job. I think I'm excited to get it out to the community, to be honest with you. So, yeah, we'll take any questions. Jeannie can help me out a little bit, I'm sure, but if you have any questions on it, fire away.
I think the one thing that also should be noted is the fact that the representation on that committee, it's business, it's provincial government, it's experts in different fields. So I think with that and the involvement of residents and making it understandable to residents, I think that had a lot to do with the success of getting it to this point where it is now widely accepted and understandable and really exciting to look at, because it is something, makes it real. It gives some something to work towards, something that we can, us and future councils can work towards building this into the future.
No, as Jill is chair of recreation, like we have our softball fields and baseball fields are short. We're going to answer those problems, hopefully is patient for a year, and address those problems. Recreational facilities, our hockey registrations up. You know, we're looking at other stuff there. So our high schools and elementary schools and everything else. So we're, you know, with great vision and great vision by your committee and everybody around the table here. And let's not forget Robert Hughes.
Yeah, Robert was a big piece
you know,
of this.
Robert Hughes, let's remember the first day here. Let's get a project going here and let's get it moving, right? So it was great there, but it's just going to, it's a win-win here. And with everything being built around there, population is going to grow. Commercial business is going to grow, roundabouts, so it's just in high schools and hopefully intermediate, can't say that word, but I guess, but anyways.
Yeah, and in here it specifically says that, so yeah, we do have the town reserve and the language is, basically us as a town, we're being smart about this and saying that we're going to take this little piece of property over here and we're going to reserve it, because we know at some point in time the province is going to be looking to put an intermediate school here. No question in my mind, we know that, right? So in this report, you will see how we set aside an area in the perfect location, you know, across from the high school, for an intermediate school, should the province decide to look at that in the future. So we're ready to go, which is great, right? We can seize that opportunity when it comes. So I think that that's a great piece.
I know where I'm at with the recreational complex and the walk into the ice surface and so on. And if you want to go back, and Councilor McDougall said, we're probably one of the few communities on the island that doesn't have a ice facility. If you look at all the ice facilities, Tyne Valley, Rustico and so on, Charlottetown.
I think you wouldn't.
Stratford doesn't have a ice surface in
I think you
Stratford.
wouldn't find a community of 11,000 population in Canada
Yeah.
probably that doesn't
Yeah.
have those types of amenities, right?
Yeah.
So, but Stratford was different over the, right, because we were right beside Charlottetown, right? And, you know, so we were a bedroom community, so that kind of made sense. But, you know, we're transitioning now,
Yeah.
like we are a bit of a community in transition. So this report absolutely, you know, gives us something to strive for. It gives us space to put these amenities that the community has told us they want
Yeah.
to see. So, yeah, I think it's,
And with the school, I mean, my two boys had to go across the bridge every day. As an ex-policeman, I know how dangerous it is, traffic's high and stuff like that, and school bus and everything else. And residents, I'm gonna say it out loud, why shouldn't we have two schools here? Why can't our kids have a junior school and a senior school? It's just, it's time, and it's time for other things, and that's what people want.
Yeah, I think it's,
I thought they might have put the intermediate school in first.
Yeah.
you know what, that was when we were going through that school review
Yeah.
process, and I was on that working committee, that's absolutely what we thought was gonna come out of it,
Yeah.
was, because when you talk to the people in the community, they thought for sure junior high was, but when you actually went to the enrollment projections and what Charlottetown rural was gonna look like in 2024, if something didn't change, in 2025, they identified that it was actually the high school that was actually more urgently needed. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
the kids go to elementary, then go to town and
Yeah,
come back.
yeah.
and I understand from Minister of Education that there will be a review of the junior highs being done over the next year or so. So that'll maybe consider the needs in all areas.
Birchwood is full right now, so our school, our junior high for our kids right now, which is Birchwood primarily,
Yes, yeah.
is full, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Charlottetown's population is growing too. Charlottetown.
Absolutely.
so
They're gonna need that. They're
Yeah,
gonna need the
exactly.
Birchwood.
They're gonna need
They're
it.
gonna need that infrastructure for themselves, yeah.
So Charlottetown and like Birchwood and Stone Park are gonna need that.
Yeah.
They're all playing hockey and baseball now, or
And they are going to have to, you know, do some major work on, you know, some of the junior highs because of the age of the facilities.
and you gotta weigh that issue too. Do
Yeah,
we
and I
put
think that's
money
part of
in
the
this,
reason.
Or do we go brand new?
Yeah.
You know?
So, any other comments or questions on the motion?
Well, we have made a statement here tonight in regards to the town of Stratford is the only community without a skating rink, and that is basically true, but we should not forget that Pownell has 2 rinks, and they have serviced the town well. Now, is there a need for a 3rd and 4th rink? More than likely, yes, and we've asked to get a study done about the growth and the number of kids. So, but we can't forget what Pownell has done for us over the years.
Oh, no, I don't forget what Pownell and what they've done over the 4 years, but I'm here tonight at the table representing Stratford. I'm not representing Alexander or Pownell down there. If they want to move the line, I'll represent them, but tonight, I'm representing Stratford.
I think the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Stratford's doubled in size since we were formed in 1995.
Oh, yeah.
We were less than 5,000 people, we're now over 11,000. So that's hard for a lot of decision makers to understand that, you know, we're sort of newcomers on the block, and we're all of a sudden we're going to double again probably in the future, you know, before too many years go by. So those needs need to be met, recreational, all types of infrastructure, that those needs need to be met. And I know this council has worked really hard to try to make that happen, and we looked at the priorities. The priorities right now are getting our community campus infrastructure in place, and I think as soon as that's underway, I think we'll be looking at other recreational facilities. But for now, I think our priorities are pretty well set, and I think our plan is in place. So we've got a good forecasting model for any future expenditures, knowing with our eyes open how much it's going to cost and what impact it's going to have on residents' tax rates, and so everything is in the works, I guess you might say. Yeah.
We have the land.
Yeah. Yes, and that's the big thing
Yeah.
is having that land, and that's a foresight. Okay. Any other comments or questions? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Okay, thank you for your report, Councillor Burridge. Now we'll go to appointments to committees, and there's also a resolution there for appointment of a committee member to the Heritage Subcommittee. And since that's in the planning area, I'll ask Councillor Burridge to read that resolution.
CW 006-2022, committee member appointment. Whereas council has established standing committees and subcommittees to those standing committees in bylaw number 47, the council procedural bylaw, to advise and assist council in its deliberations. And whereas the council provides for the appointment of residents by council to provide public input to council in its deliberations. And whereas the Heritage Subcommittee has a vacancy. Be resolved that Natalie Munn be appointed to the Heritage Subcommittee for the remainder of the 2-year term ending November 30th, 2022. This resolution bears a recommendation of the Committee of the Whole as discussed at a meeting held on April 27th, 2022. So moved.
Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against? Motion carried. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, we'll now move to proclamations, and even though there's no proclamations, I would encourage people to, on May 31st, we've had some representation from representatives of a non-smoking group to really encourage people not to have May 31st declared non-smoking day, but we don't have that proclamation right now, but I would encourage people to recognize May 31st as non-smoking day.
Your worship,
I mentioned that at the beginning, the Family Violence Week, yeah.
Nursing Week, did you mention that?
Okay, any other business anyone would like to bring to the floor at this time? If not, call for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Or adjourn. Got to do it at least once, eh?